Hello everybody, this is Emery from the Brian Coyle Best Buy Teen Tech Center, and today I will be talking about how to use a really cool software called Tinkercad. If you've been around the Tech Center, you might remember this software. We use it a little bit, and it's a 3D modeling software, so it's a really easy and accessible way to design your own 3D models of whatever you want. It's pretty sick. So, it's just tinkercad.com. And when you go to sign in, there's a lot of options, but I usually just sign in with Google. Since I'm signed in through my Chrome browser already, then it automatically remembers that I am logged in. So once you're logged in, all you have to do is hit Create New Design. And today we're just going to make something simple. I'm just going to make a name tag because that's pretty easy, and it's usually what we have folks do at the Tech Center as a beginner design. So over here on the right, you'll see all these different options, and they're all different polygons, different shapes, different things that you can drag in. So this is your work plane, and you can control how you see it either with this box up here if you click and hold on it and you can move around, or you can hit Control on your keyboard and then click on it and you can move around just holding your mouse. So if you want to bring in an object, all you do is find the one you want and drag it in. So these are two I want for a name tag, but these are just the basic shapes. So there's also stuff like text and numbers, connectors. There's like specific ones people import themselves. There's like people who use the website just come up with their own and bring them in. But for now, we're just going to be using basic shapes because the cool thing is they don't have to stay in the shape that they import in. So this one, since I'm making a name tag, I'm going to, it's just like in Photoshop or any sort of other application where I can grab the corner here and I'll just stretch it out to be a little longer, and then I'm going to grab the top and I'm going to bring it down to make it flatter. So now if you look at it from the side, it's not super thick, but it's thick enough. So now this one, I'm going to grab, and I don't want to change it yet, so I just want to move it to where I want it to be. You got to make sure when you're moving it, you do not want to hit any of the points. So I am going to rotate it. You can see there's this curve along the bottom here, and then there's one along the top too. So I'm going to need to use both of those to get this in the direction I want. So I'm going to rotate it this way, and you can see since it's on a grid, 90 degrees means a perfect square. So it's important to get it lined up right. So I'm going to move it to be 90 degrees exactly. And then this one, I'm going to do the same thing, where I can just enter the number if I want as well. So with this one, I'm just going to enter 90, and then it rotates it automatically to how I want it. So I'm going to want this one to be about the same thickness, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit as well, maybe a little taller. And then I'm going to want to make it a little smaller as well. So now let's drag it in. Maybe a little larger. Cool. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to put a hole punch on the end of it so that I can put it on a keychain or whatever. So you can just, I'm going to delete that. So you can either drag in one of these ones up here, which is already an empty space, or for future, this is for if you're building things in the future, like a car or anything like that, where you want to make it your own custom holes and that sort of thing. I'm going to make this cylinder. I'm going to make it smaller. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to be right here. And then what you do is where you have the options for the shape. Right now it's a solid. I can make it a hole, and that makes it negative space. So when you would 3D print this, then you have a hole there instead of a solid space. So if I wanted to make a hole with you can do text or any sort of other shape, you just do the same thing. Now what I'm going to do is, since it's a name tag or a tag for something, I am going to put some text in. So here you can see there's text. I'm going to drag it in. Right now it just says text, but let's change it to say my name since it's a tag. And you can change it to be different sort of fonts. I'm going to keep it at the default though. And then I can just make it smaller. And I will make it a lot more thin. And now here's the tricky part. So this little cone right here doesn't change the size or anything, but it helps you move it up. So I'm going to move it up a little bit, and then I'm going to, oops. And then I am going to drag it over this. Let's see. So there's a little space in between. So let's pull it down. So now it's just resting on top. I'll make it a little larger. And now you'll see, if you look at it there, you see it's raised a little bit. So when you 3D print that, it'll come with just the text a little bit raised. And just so you know, these colors don't really mean a whole lot. It's just to help you figure out what the difference between them look like. Because when you 3D print it, it'll always be just one solid color. Now that we've put those all together, if we don't do this next step, it'll all print as separate things. It won't be connected. But if you want it to combine all of these, we used 3 different objects overall and a whole. If we want to combine it into one shape, all you do is click somewhere else on the screen and see this box that I'm dragging. You're going to drag it to make sure it's selecting every single part that I clicked on or that I added to the plane, and see it all comes together like this. And then you hit this button, and this button means group, and that means it'll add it all together, and now it's all one shape. So I can deselect, I can move it around, and it's all one shape now instead of a bunch of different shapes. So that's just an example of a basic name tag type thing you can do, but you can also do lots of more complicated things. You could do houses, cars, people. I've seen people do some crazy stuff with this program. And the cool part is now you can export it. And so you can't really 3D print at home unless you own a 3D printer, but you could save it for later at the tech center. And then you would want to export it as an STL file. Or you can hit the send to, and you can share it on all of these different websites. So Thingiverse, ZSpace, Robot Magic, they're all different sorts of 3D printing platforms where people share designs. So you can share it on there. So that's Tinkercad. It's a quick little video, but hopefully it was helpful and you can design some cool 3D objects. I hope that y'all have a great afternoon, and I'll catch you in the next video.